Let's get into Cristopher Sanchez and his absolute filth. Good to see Alec Boehm a little bit get it going too with a RBI double in the first as well.
Bless you, Tyler.
Cristopher Sanchez was really, really good. 10 strikeouts tonight. He can't argue with that ever. And his changeup is becoming one of the nastier pitches in baseball. We'll get into the advanced numbers on that in a minute. But 6 innings pitched tonight. 10 strikeouts, no home runs allowed. He threw 72% strikes, had 17 whiffs on the night, 0 earned runs, 5 hits, and only 1 walk. Cristopher Sanchez, kind of answering those questions we had preseason of like, is what we saw last year real? Can you keep this going again? Are you going to the mall after school today? No. He's answering those questions and making you feel like you got a pretty good damn rotation on your hands. Did you get that movie?
No, and I knew you were going to ask me. I actually said no for anybody that was wondering why I randomly yelled no, because Jamie, I'm triggered. Are you going to the mall after school today?
Just guess the movie.
Is it really Billy Madison again?
Yes. It's Billy Madison, Renee.
Yes.
Yay! Sorry, I yelled.
In doubt,
I
guess
yelled.
that movie.
Yeah. When in doubt, just go Billy Madison.
So you're really a big Billy Madison fan.
It's
low-key what I'm learning. That
I've
and
probably
Dumb and Dumber.
seen the movie like, I don't know. I would guess 113
your Billy Madison
times.
Is my SpongeBob.
It's a very specific number. I mean, like,
wait, what?
I just made up. I've seen it a lot, is my point. Phil Rizzuto, those look like R's. Those are Z's. Anyway, Cristopher Sanchez was tremendous tonight. We mentioned his changeup. Now, Tyler, I hope you're sitting down because these advanced numbers on his changeup are amazing. Cristopher Sanchez threw 4 pitches tonight. Actually, sinker, changeup, slider, fastball. He threw his changeup 30 times. Which came out to about 31% of his pitches. Average velocity on said changeup was 85.2 miles per hour. Here's where it gets really, really sexy. The zone percentage rate for the said changeup was 40%. The chase rate on the changeup is a whopping 66.7%. His whiff percentage when throwing the changeup tonight was 40.9%. That is becoming his. Wow. He threw his sinker the most tonight at 48.5% of the time. Average velocity on that was 94.5 miles an hour, which is really nice. Got a chase rate on that of 21.1%. But when you see numbers of chase percentage at 66.7 and almost 41% whiff rate, that is filth. And wow. Cristopher Sanchez, damn.
And I think what makes it more impressive is the fact that he had thrown 73 pitches in the first 4 innings, 15 of those whiffs. But yesterday, Ranger was about 86 pitches in the 8th inning. Like, it was a pretty high pitch count he saw early on. And Cristopher Sanchez, I thought, handled it really well and continued to show, aside from the run he gave up in the first inning, the top of the first, I feel like Cristopher Sanchez has continuously showed last year was not a fluke.
No.
And he's been meant, and we've talked about this. You can see the difference of feeling comfortable. He's talked about how last year he still was dealing with some of that imposter syndrome and didn't feel like he belonged. And look, Sanchez, you belong. You definitely have earned your spot, and it's great to see that he's really rounding it out, the starting pitching core, in a nice way. I know there's mention of Taiwan in the chat. We'll get into that as well. But Tyler, I know I was going to toss to you before. Finally, let me give you a chance. You got some numbers for us on Kyle and on Chris.
Yeah, so Sanchez today, again, was really good. And I thought that early he wasn't particularly sharp, but he did a really nice job of battling in, understanding what was working and what wasn't. He gave up contact on balls in play of 90 miles an hour or more just 5 times tonight. And I think, guys, the book on Chris Sanchez is pretty much there at this point. The changeup is filthy. When the slider is on, he is on, because the sinker does get hit a little bit more than you would like it to. The average exit velocity on balls put in play today on the sinker was 103 miles an hour. Now, granted, that's a little deceiving because that was the only one time that a ball get put in play off of the sinker in particular. But the numbers for the sinker are much higher, like batting average on balls in play against the sinker versus the changeup and the slider. He's been really, really effective And quite honestly, guys, I think the one thing that I really appreciate about Sanchez, it's the same thing that I've appreciated about Ranger Suarez for so long, is that these two lefties know how to attack right-handed hitters. It is hard to pitch opposite hand because you have to be able to go to maybe a third pitch as opposed to your secondary pitch. Now, in Chris Sanchez's case, he has the luxury of his, quote, secondary pitch,
right,
but really his best pitch being the one that works well to the opposite side hitter, as in being able to throw that changeup, especially down and away, and then you bury it on the back foot. Like, what he has done over the last 2 seasons, last season and the first couple of starts in this year, is he's really rounded himself out into being a very consistent pitcher, into knowing what you're going to get from him more times than not.
And that's the key. And when you have a guy that can take the mound and you don't have to hold your breath and get nervous and wonder, what are you going to see from him today? That's partly why, I know you're obviously a huge Ranger fan for his adorable cheeks, but that's why I like Ranger Suarez. You always know what you're going to get from him.
Back off. He's my man.
Oh.
You back off.
Well, there.
You can have anybody else. He's mine. Called dibs on him 2 years ago. Once I saw those cheeks light up the dugout with joy.
Oh, man. I shouldn't have brought him up.
We'll get into Ranger.
But, no, I think that the key is you need those guys that are just consistent. And they don't even have to always be the best on your team. You just need someone that you know what you're going to get from them, whether it is even like a Junior Marte, I feel like is also finding his footing. Like someone that you know, what can they give me for an inning, 2 innings, or in Sanchez's case, 5, 6 innings. And now you can game plan a little bit better.